few things before you begin doing this. A lot of this is based off of leash walking. This is leash reactivity. Your dog is on a leash. You're using the leash to communicate with your dog. It's the leash that in a lot of circumstances is causing the frustration. That is not to say that you should go without a leash. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But just know the leash part is a heavy part of this. So I would really recommend working on leash walking with your dog before you embark in a reactive training program. So if your dog pulls on leash a lot and you can't get them to stop, then I would recommend working on that first. You have to have some basis for communication with your dog on the leash before you start using the leash to understand your dog's emotional state, which is what we're going to do for reactive dog training. Your leash is your tool to tell you, and your dog's body language and some other things, but a lot of it is a leash to have your dog tell you what they're doing, what they're thinking, where they want to go, what they're experiencing, and you're communicating back to them to help put them in a better state. So if your leash walking game is a mess, I would say pick a time where you're in a place where you're not going to run onto many dogs. Like early in the morning in a giant open field is my favorite place to work, or late in the afternoon, or sometimes like the middle of the day when there's nobody at parks except for kids playing on the playground. I would highly recommend you drive somewhere where you have really good visibility. There's no blind turns or anything, if you can at all possibly do this, and work on leash walking there without too much stimulation. I really do not recommend working on leash walking or reactivity in a neighborhood with dogs popping out and dogs behind fences and dogs in windows. A matter of fact, I don't always recommend neighborhood walks at all. Sometimes that's really stressful for dogs. And you can sometimes use certain areas of a walk once your dog's gone through a training program for reactivity to kind of work with dogs that you know bark constantly out a window. But walking your dog through a neighborhood, in a lot of neighborhoods, can be like a scary fun house of dogs popping up behind fences, dogs getting out of fences and running up to your dogs, dogs freaking out the window, dogs popping their head over fences and falling over. I mean, these are all situations I've had happen. So I'm just saying that if at all possible, go somewhere else and work with your dog on leash walking. And when you have leash walking sort of established, then you can start dealing with stuff distracting your dog, but you need to have some basis for communication through the leash. And in general, if your dog is new to you, I would recommend taking some time to chill out and work with your dog just at home doing random things. If you need to take them for little neighborhood walks, you can do that. But just get to know your dog before you start working. If you've just got a dog and it's reactive, you might just take a week to chill out, or take 3 weeks to do some walks and work on leash walking, but not bother with anything like a reactive dog program yet. And another thing is that if your dog is uncomfortable with you touching it, and a surprisingly large number of dogs are in the context I'm talking about, I would work on handling exercises along with those leash walking exercises before you embark on a reactive training program. So if you haven't worked on leash walking and you can't just reach out and grab your dog's collar, and I'll go more into what I mean by that, then work on that, pause this video, work on that, and then come back to this when you're ready. So by touching your dog, I mean that you can reach out to your dog's front, from your front, and touch your dog's collar, neck, harness area. A huge percentage of dogs are not comfortable with this, which is why it's the most common scenario to get bitten in. So you're most likely to get bitten reaching for your dog's collar. It's not because dogs are magically like sensitive about their collar area, a little bit of that. It's because all of dogs' body language says that me going at you is rude to dogs. Reaching, frontal alignment, moving quickly at your dog. It's very unnatural for your dog to find that a welcoming thing. And so we have to do a lot when we're training dogs, and a huge portion of my puppy programs is this, to get that down so that I can reach out and grab a dog. It's also usually one of the biggest barriers towards people having a good off-leash game, meaning be able to control their dog off-leash, and having their dog come when called. The most common thing I see when I get called into recall, like coming when called issues, is that they can't actually reach out and grab their dog because their dog finds that uncomfortable. And if you go into the world of dog sports where dogs are off leash, there's a ton of work done on being able to reach out and grab at your dog. So just as a side note, when you progress in your dog training journey, that's a really important thing. So if you can't reach out at your dog and grab them, then I would say work on that, or continuously work on that as you're working through this Reactive Dog program. Also, there's going to be a lot of moments in it when you're going to move fast or turn at your dog or turn away from your dog or whatever, or reach out and treat. And if your dog is really skittish about that, you have to get that out of the way, or that's just going to exacerbate the situation. So if you're out working with your dog and you see a dog and you need to like put it in gear and speed up and turn around and get some snappy responses for your dog, and your dog finds those snappy responses intimidating, then it's not going to go well. It's all going to fall apart there. So work on that. Pause this video and work on that a little, and then come back to it if you don't have a really good collar grab or grab game working with your dog.